So this one's pretty tricky. We have 1 minus a over b is greater than -1 and less than 0. But we can do a little solving to figure out something about a minus b. So we just divide up the two inequalities. We have 1 minus a over b is less than 0. And then we also have 1 minus a over b is greater than -1. So 1 minus a over b greater than -1, we can add the a over b to both sides and then add 1 to both sides, and we end up with a over b is less than 2. Over here, we can simply add the a over b to both sides. We end up with a over b is greater than 1. So now we know that a over b is less than 2 and greater than 1. Then we have to tackle those statements. So must it be true that a is less than 0? Well, a over b must be positive if it's between 1 and 2. If a is less than 0, the only way this thing can be positive is if b itself is less than 0. And we already know from the question, it says right there that b is greater than 0. So statement 1 cannot be true. And so we can get rid of anything that says statement 1 is true. Statement 2, a is greater than b. Well, it must be. Just look at the fraction. In order to be a fraction greater than 1, the numerator needs to be larger than the denominator. That's just how fractions work. It would be less than 1 if a were smaller than b. So statement 2 must be true. We can get rid of the idea that none of them are true. We just have to evaluate statement 3. Statement 3 says the quantity a over b squared is less than 2, which means that a over b is less than the square root of 2. And, you know, it's actually kind of hard to tell because the square root of 2 is, of course, less than 2. All we really know is that a over b is less than 2. The square root of 2 is kind of right around midway between 1 and 2. And we just don't have enough information to say that this must be true. It might be less than the square root of 2, but it might be more and be closer to the 2 side of things. So statement 3 is not a must be true, it's a could be true. Only statement 2 must be true.